Hi, I'm Kira. I'm a jeweller. This is my dog Pepper, and we're in my jewellery studio today. And I'm going to show you some of my processes and talk a little bit about how I started jewellery and what I like about it. I guess I got started because I was always pretty obsessed with jewellery, and I just always had this thing where I really wanted to make a ring, and it took me a long time to enroll in a short course and do it. And I think subconsciously I knew that a lot would change when I did that, and it did, because I just wanted to keep pursuing it. I guess with a lot of things, I think they come back to childhood as well. Like growing up, I always just found a lot of solace in jewellery. And I was always really intrigued with how it was made, because I always knew that there would be a lot to it. So yeah, I've always loved making things, and so jewellery was just an extension of that. Then I studied at Polytech, so I did an advanced diploma there.
What was the course like at Polytechnic?
Yeah, it was really amazing. I think it comes down to like different styles of learning. I think it's really common for people to be self-taught jewellers now, but for me personally, I really love learning from people, and a lot of the teachers had been doing it a long time, and the facilities were really amazing, because I think that that's a really big thing with jewellery, is that you need so much stuff. Like my tool wish list just goes forever. And the more you have, the more opportunities and things you can explore, and it's kind of endless. So studying it just means you've got access to so much knowledge and so many tools.
Coming from a place where it's like, oh wow, there's all this stuff there that I can use, and then like what's it like stepping away from that type of environment and then like starting out for yourself?
Yeah, it's really daunting. Yeah, but I think they're also really supportive. So I think like once you get like here the oxy and the gas set up and like a really good torch, that really opens you up, and then I guess you've just got to slowly tick away and get what you want, but over time. But yeah, I think shared spaces and studying just means that you have these really big equipment, like things like rollers are like quite an investment just for one jeweller.
What was it like having an environment to study in with like like-minded people that were doing it versus doing it by yourself now? Yeah,
that's also been an adjustment. I think that it's really inspiring seeing what everyone else makes, and the whole jewellery community is so supportive. So you've got that feedback and validation, and then stepping into your own space and working by yourself all day can be an adjustment. But yeah, I guess it's a process. It's almost like a love-hate thing as well, because I do love the fact that I've got this studio here. But it can be hard, especially like early on. Making itself, there's just like, I feel so connected to it. That's why I want to make it, because it makes me happy. And then like all the other stuff, like putting products into the world, is kind of secondary. One of the things I really love and do all the time in jewellery is all of my scrap metal and all of the things that didn't work out just get melted down, and so I made into something new. So one of the things I love about what I do is being able to reuse materials and melt down things that might have not have worked, or melt down things that no longer have meaning in people's lives, and make them into something that does. One of the hardest things, and it also doubles as one of the things I love the most, is sand casting. And I heard on TikTok recently, the most reliable source ever, that it is one of the hardest techniques, and I was like, oh my God, that was so validating to hear that. But yeah, the amount of, like, I'll show you how I do it, but the amount of times where you have to get the metal to be molten metal, and that takes a while. And then you pour it, and for whatever reason, usually it being due to the metal not being hot enough, even though it looks very hot and it's taken a long time, doesn't take the form in the mould. And yeah, I've had full days of doing that over and over again, and not being what I'm doing, especially like when you pick up a technique and you leave it for a while and then you come back to it. Sometimes it feels like you have to go through those processes again. Because I guess as a jeweler, you're working with so many processes that it's really easy to get rusty on one. I think the hardest part about what I do is making jewellery. I think it's a really hard thing to do. Metal itself doesn't form easily, it doesn't change shape easily, it makes you work very hard and it has to be heated. And every piece that you think of and you want to make comes with a set of techniques that you may or may not know how to do. So it's a really hard thing to do. There's a lot of precision in it. And there's a lot of things that you just have to trial and error until you get right. I really think that the best thing you can do is take it really slow and get to know the techniques and experiment and play without that pressure of putting work into the world. I think that's a big learning that I've had. I think initially I really wanted to get my website going and put some pieces that I did like into the world, and then I really stopped and evaluated and worked out that I wanted to change direction. I just wanted to find my aesthetic and refine my aesthetic more. So I took like a year of not really putting any work into the world and just banged around my studio, and it felt like not a productive time, but at the end of that I was able to build a collection that I'm really proud of, and I feel like it reflects me as a jeweler and what I want to put into the world. And then it's only just been recently where I've felt the fruit of that labour.
Why do you do this, and are there any driving factors that keep you going in making jewellery?
Yeah, I do it because I love making, and a really big thing I love making is when you make something beautiful and seeing that end product and knowing all of the hours and experimentation and learnings that it took to get to that point. I think is just huge. So often I make and I do what I do to get to that point. A real privilege as a maker is that you can embed sentiment into your handmade pieces. So yes, this piece I made for my parents' 40-year wedding anniversary, because 40 years is a ruby. I didn't want to do just like a conventional one big ruby, so I did like 4 tiny ones, one for each decade, and then 3 little blobs of gold, one for each kid. Slow making and slow processes is why I make, and I guess with that is you're using these sacred techniques that have been around for thousands of years, because jewellery was one of the first art forms ever, so it's got such a rich history. And I guess longevity in jewellery is really important to me, and definitely a driving force as well, because I really love that jewellery is passed on through generations. So a lot of the finessing I did over that year and continue to do is, you know, do I think that what I'm working on, the piece, is going to withstand time and it's going to be a piece that's loved and gets handed down. That's the ultimate goal. But you don't really have control over that because people change their taste. The best thing about what I do is making something beautiful and getting to that point where after all of the experimentation and all of the time and the hours, that what you envisioned, or sometimes it's better and different, that what you envisioned has come to life, and that's gonna, for the most part, bring meaning to other people's lives. I really like.